Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I had my mic undone real quick. I accidentally dropped my phone on top of that. But welcome to Kentucky Speedway here for the first race of the round of 8. We are looking to have a very interesting, I think, race that'll be happening here. We got a lot of people, a lot of drivers. This is our biggest field in a while, and I look forward to seeing what we have for a competitive size field here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our playoff standings quick, and then we'll go through some of the other stuff before we get these guys wrapped up in qualifying. Heading to tonight, again, this is the first race of the round of 8. Joseph Kazi plus 50 above the cut line. Reese Schaefer plus 31. We have Derek Garrison plus 10. Bryce Shoemaker plus 6. Those two drivers, Derek Garrison, Bryce Shoemaker, they are positive for the time being, but they are not that far ahead of the cut line, and they're going to want to try and get as much as they can, especially out here tonight, knowing that we go to Talladega next week, which is a pretty wild card event. Then going into our first guy facing elimination is Jordan Tross, Eric Garrison, Justin Day, and Aaron Kay. All four of these drivers, I think, do have a chance to give that third and fourth place, maybe even Reese Schaefer and Joseph Kazi in 1 and 2 in the standings right now. But I do think they have a chance to give Derek Garrison and Bryce Shoemaker a run for their money for those two positions. We'll go into that once we get more into this race. But again, tonight, first race of the round of 8. That's Kentucky Speedway. Then we head to Talladega next week. And then Bristol Motor Speedway. A pretty interesting but pretty fun round of 8. I think this is probably one of the most, I'd say, more so calming rounds of this playoff. Again, the round of 12 was pretty interesting and filled with a lot of harder, more difficult tracks. I think this round will give some of these drivers a little bit easier of a time to work their way through the playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at our track info here. Kentucky Speedway here in Kentucky. This is going to be a fun, interesting track. Like I said earlier, we have not been here, and it is also a legacy version of this track, so a little bit outdated, a little bit more bumpier, probably a little bit more difficult on some of these drivers. 1.5 miles in total. Then we have 4 regular shaped turns, nothing crazy. Although going into turns 3 and 4, you do get more of a wider and flat banking compared to turns 1 and 2. So we'll have to watch out for that. Then we'll head to our starting lineup here. Row 1, excuse me. We have Reese Schaefer, Jacob Zala. Reese Schaefer continuing to put it on pole and be fast, put himself where he needs to be in qualifying. In row number 2, we have Joseph Kazi, Derek Garrison. Joseph Kazi there on the outside, Derek Garrison on the inside. Then in row number 3, Aaron Kay, Bryce Shoemaker. Aaron Kay here in this 37 car, he's going to be one that we are going to want to watch through these next few races. He's been pretty consistent on these finishes the past few weeks and is continuing to put himself in position to where he needs to be to make it into these playoffs. Then going on to row number 4, we go to Jim Foskett and Justin Day. Then row number 5, Rob Hamp, Eric Garrison. I want to say a big shout out to Rob Hamp, he gave it his all. He was not able to transfer through to the round of 8, but he gave it his best. Then row number 6, Jason Miz, Jordan Tross. And in the final row, we have Max Cost and Nick Wood. Now taking a look at our race analysis. 140 laps, 204 miles, end of stages, the end of lap 70 pit road, 50 miles an hour. Our fuel window is about 60 to 65 laps, we think. And then we have 5 sets of tires in total, 4 behind the wall that these drivers can change. Take a look at this race weather. Pretty cool. Air temp 86, track temp 104. And this is kind of like a midday, so it is going to be a little bit hotter track temp-wise. No humidity. Then we got some clouds in the area, but not a lot. And then we do have some pretty high winds. That's 13 miles an hour to the south. These drivers are getting set to enter the first race of the round of 8. Reese Schaefer's going to lead him here. Jacob Sala to his outside into the restart zone. Green flag in the air, and we're off and away for the beginning of round number 8. Side by side for second place. That's Derek Garrison peeking to the inside of Jake Zala. Zala continuing to hold strong and holding his own. He's going to be able to defend off Derek Garrison here for a second place for the time being. A little bit further back, we got drivers back here. That's Rob Hamp in the 99. Aaron K, Bryce Shoemaker. If you take a look at the left-hand part of your screen, those drivers in yellow are your playoff drivers. The drivers in white are non-playoff drivers. And like I said in pre-race, this is our biggest field in quite a while. 14 drivers currently on track. Some of these drivers will be giving these playoff drivers a run for their money. Still battling hard here for the 6th position. Bryce Shoemaker has it, but he's under pressure from the sea of cars directly behind him. That's the 37 to the outside. The 5 car to his inside. The 51 now to his outside as well. Bryce Shoemaker losing about 3 spots right there. Make it possibly 4 as Justin Day is now giving him pressure as well. And as fast as that happened, they're kind of settled things out. But Bryce Shoemaker from 6th to 10th in about half a lap. He's going to have to work on some things here if he wants to gain some valuable playoff points. Let's go ahead back and take a look at a driver. I want to say welcome back, Nick Wood. we've been missing you, buddy. I know you had some things happen, but we're glad to see you back on track. And hoping to have a good run for you tonight. Last time we were speaking to you, you were knocking on the door of the top 3, sitting around that top 5 area. And hopefully we can speak to you later tonight, and if not, possibly again before the season ends. We got top 3 breakaway here at the front. Reese Schaefer, Jacob Zala, Derek Garrison. These 3 have put over 2 seconds on 4th place of Joseph Kazi. Jacob Zala is one of these younger drivers in this field. Not as much experience as the 2 drivers around him of Reese Schaefer and Derek Garrison. This is his first, I'd say, probably full attempt at a full season, and he's knocking on the door these past few weeks of a win. He's been beat by Reese Schaefer and Joseph Kazi, the 2 fastest cars this season. So maybe a little less experience, but he's still slowly but surely trying to get this win, and he is very close at it. And I think we'll see him in victory lane before the season ends. But he will have to deal with these faster drivers all around him. And I'm a little surprised that Joseph Kazi back here in 4th place right now. 2 seconds behind the leader. Actually just over 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. He could just be kind of setting a slower pace, trying to keep his tires in check and not burn them up too much. But usually we see him up there with Schaefer, if not pulling away from the field. So a little surprised here that he's this far back. We're gonna have to see if that may be something that is planned, or maybe he's just struggling here. And if we go back to the front, we got a new race leader of Jacob Zala. Reese Schaefer's gonna be thrown back here to 3rd place. Move Derek Garrison back up to 2nd place. This is impressive out of this very young driver going up here, qualifying 2nd, leading the way now, taking the race lead from Reese Schaefer. And we spoke to him at the end of the Darlington race. He said he needed to work on some things, kind of just needed to get a better feeling for himself on these longer runs and let the race play out and not overstep his boundaries. And right now he's doing just that. Looks like Joseph Kazi has been closing this gap down on the leaders a little bit these past couple laps. It was 2.5 seconds, now down to 2 seconds. And I'm sure that's probably just him trying to conserve his tires so that he can make a late race charge here, as we see now, happening now. You got Rob Hamp directly behind him, also following his footsteps. These two are going to try and go up there and challenge these drivers who pulled away early on. Try and give them a run here. Aaron K back here trying to get to the outside of Eric Garrison. A little bit of a run there coming off for 2. Not able to make it stick going into 3 and 4. He's going to pin it down on that yellow line. Try and get a good run off. Just Eric Garrison able to beat him back to the throttle just a little bit and hold him off for the time being. And here comes the 51 behind him, trying to put pressure now. Maybe a little bit of contact right there. That cost them a decent amount of time from being right there on the back bumper of Eric Garrison to now about half a second back behind him. That was a good save by both of those drivers right there. They kept it straight, and I think the 51 realized that he might have got in there a little bit too hot and backed off, allowed the 37 to get it straightened out, and now they're living to fight another day, trying to reel back in that 5 car of Eric Garrison directly in front of them. Joseph Kazi, Rob Ham continuing to chop away at the top 3. And actually, I think they've pretty much broken even on times here. That last lap looks like so not having that momentum that they did a few laps ago, kind of breaking even. Maybe trying to conserve a little bit more tire before they make a harder charge. Again, we do have a stage at the end of lap 70. And these drivers will, if they haven't saved enough, they will have to pit. We did have a pit window of 60 to 65 laps, so that's about 5 to 10 laps short. At a place like this, it is a little bit trickier to try and save because of the amount of throttle time that you have. It is doable, and that might also be a factor into why some of these drivers are going a little bit slower. If we look at the 8 car here, he's on the back bumper of this 25 car in front of him, and that can also be a pretty easy way to save a little bit more fuel. Just kind of taking the draft from the guy in front of you, letting him carry you a little bit down the front stretch, not having to use that throttle as much. But if you're a driver like Joseph Kazi and you're back here, you don't really have anybody to really get a draft off of, and as well as Rob Hamp. Rob Hamp has now kind of lost the tail end of Joseph Kazi, so that might make these guys save a little bit different. They might have to back it down and lose a little bit more time. Again, I don't know exactly how much fuel these drivers do have in their cars. It's kind of up to the drivers and the teams as to what their calculations are. And as I say that, Derek Garrison going for the race lead, so maybe Derek Garrison thinks he has either enough or that it's just not beneficial for him to continue to ride around at slower speeds. Now Joseph Kazi's closing in on the back end of Reese Schaefer here. Looks like he should be able to get the 17th draft here in just a moment. These drivers are running about, let's look at their lap time this time, about a 33.7. And in qualifying, we were hitting 31.8. Practice was about 31.9s to about 32.0, 32.1. So these drivers have definitely lost a little bit of speed time-wise. Again, not sure how much that plays into saving fuel. Not sure if that's more of a tire saving thing. I think it's a little bit of both. And I think if I'm going to choose somebody to either make it or be in a good position to make up these passes in front of him, would be Joseph Kazi. I think he took it easy enough at the beginning portion of the race, and I think he's going to slowly work his way up through this field and try and get these spots taken away, and maybe try and push these guys into using a little bit more fuel than they want to do. And Reese Schaefer kind of easily gave that position up. I think Reese knows the position that he's in right now, and I think Kazi knows that as well, so not much of a fight there to get third place away from Schaefer. Eric Garrison went a little wide there into turn 1 and 2. That's going to allow Jacob Zala here to get back to his inside and try and challenge again for this race lead. I think the 25 will be able to clear the 8 car, so now move the 25 car back into the lead here, as now Derek Garrison's going to get pressure from the 3 car of Joseph Kazi directly behind him. Kazi slowly making his way through the field, applying pressure to the back of this 8 car, making a move to the inside now, going down the back stretch. I think he'll be able to send it in and clear this 8 car. If the 8 car is able to fight back, he's going to hold strong on the outside here. Side by side coming forward. Kazi maybe a little bit tight underneath and is going to give up that position back to the 8 car. Zala growing a little bit bigger of a lead here, pulling away from this 8 car of Derek Garrison and the 3 car of Joseph Kazi. Kazi having another good run there on that front stretch. Peaks high, not enough to get a run. Maybe trying to build something going into 3. See if he has anything here. Peaks out. He's going to side draft the 8 car, send it in again. And I think this time he will be able to clear up if he wants to take it. Slide Joseph Kazi into second place now. Derek Garrison, though, saying, I want that second position. Now he's going to fight back, do the crossover. I think Kazi's in position here, though. He's got the high side with a little bit better of a turn. And it looks like he will be able to get that run off too, and will be able to clear that 8 car again. So Joseph Kazi now into second place. Derek Garrison moved back to third place with pressure from Reese Schaefer back there in fourth place. Then Rob Hamp about 3.5 seconds back in 5th place. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You guys won't miss a thing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Sunday Night Freedom Racing Series. We're here at Kentucky Speedway for the first race of the round of 8. Our current leader, Jacob Zala, leading the way, pulled away by half a second over Derek Garrison. And Joseph Kazi here in second and third place. Bree Schaefer, fourth place. Rob Hamp, fifth place. Justin Day in sixth place. Jordan Trost, Bryce Shoemaker, Jason Miz, and Jim Foskett there, rounding out your top 10. We're just about 30 laps away until we do get our stage break at, well, not really a break. We continue to go green, but we will get we will get stage points at the end of lap 70. So some of these drivers pitting, maybe potentially trying to get some track position gain for later on. We got drivers like Eric Garrison, Nick Wood. Those two drivers made pit stops under green right there. Rob Hamp, Bryce Shoemaker now on pit road as well. I think our leaders here will be probably running it out for the most part. You might see drivers like Kazi and Schaefer who have a big buffer over the cutoff line, maybe try and run it as long as they can, maybe try and play a little bit of an undercut as well. Honestly, I really don't know with those two. I feel like we've seen them kind of do the opposite of what I predicted. Kind of like at Rockingham a few weeks ago, we saw Kazi run it long. Schaefer tried to cut it short and almost had a shot at the win. He was right there. Maybe needed another lap to get the win from Joseph Kazi. But that was not in my books, and I really I don't know what to say with these two drivers. I mean, they've got more breathing room than the rest of the field for the most part. And if I'm them, honestly, I'd probably want to do the opposite of what the other one does, just trying to get that advantage. If you haven't seen this season, take a look here at their stats. Joseph Kazi 7 wins on the season, 13 top 5s, 14 top 10s. So a pretty dominating season out of Kazi. And then we'll head back to Reese Schaefer. 6 wins on the season, 13 top 5, 14 top 10s. So trailing right on Kazi's heels. And if you're trying to pick a championship favorite, I'm not sure if I even would have one. These drivers have pretty much gone back and forth on who gets the win and who doesn't. And it looks like Joseph Kazi is going to make his way down pit road here to make a scheduled green flag pit stop. Jacob Zala still leading the way. Reese Schaefer in second place. Those two have a gap of over 2 seconds now of over a third place driver, Garrett Harrison. And one thing we will want to watch out for is Joseph Kazi. He has had some pit road issues this season. We've seen him I don't want to say time and time again, but we've seen him have more issues than anybody else in this field this season. He's missed pit road at least once this season. He's sped a few times. Usually at the end of the night, he's able to get back up towards the front and figure his way to a decent finish. It's just those mistakes cannot happen if he wants to win these races and get easier finishes out of it. Now it looks like we have 6 drivers on the lead lap. Still waiting on those 6 drivers, seeing what their game plan is with the fuel. Everybody else, though, has made it clear that they're going to kind of split this stage in half and pit now, get it out the way. Reese Schaefer now applying a little bit of pressure to this 25 car. Falling back in line, not able to get the momentum off turns number 1 and 2. Trying that high side and 3 and 4, trying to build a decent run. And actually it looks like Zala is going to come to pit road. So move Reese to the race lead. Now we'll see. I think we should only have 3 cars, and it does look like, yeah, that will be correct. We only have 3 cars now that will be on the lead lap, and that will still have to make a green flag stop at some point. We'll take a look at these lap times here. We'll go pick Joseph Kazi, who had pitted recently. His last lap time was the 32.8. Reese Schaefer was a 34.016. So pretty decent time difference. And that's all due to how fast these tires, when new, are. Now it looks like Reese Schaefer is going to be coming down to pit road, slowing up to 55 miles an hour. A little bit of tire lockup right there. Won't matter too much, as these drivers will be taking 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. You just want to be able to make sure you slow it up in time, hit that 55 miles an hour. I think that looked like a pretty clean entry. See if he slides his box. He doesn't. He gets in there pretty decent as well. 47 back behind him now, making his way down pit road as well. That'll leave just the 9 car out on track. The 9 car of Jordan Tross leading his first few laps of the night. Again, that is a playoff driver. You can see it highlighting in yellow on the timing and scoring. The 51 going around him, getting his lap back. I think if you're Jordan right now, you're trying to stretch it out. You saw him pretty far off the field, and I think was doing just that, saving fuel as best as he could. I'd say he's probably going for those playoff points. We're just going to have to see if he's able to make it stretch as far as he's hoping for, or if maybe he'll need to come down pit road before we do get that stage. And that time difference back here, Joseph Kazi scored in second place right now, 18 seconds behind the leader. But for a driver that we just saw pit, of Reese Schaefer, he is 7th place, 23 seconds back. So those amount of lap difference between the two pit stops definitely plays a factor as well. It's going to take Reese a little bit more time to catch Joseph Kazi. Jacob Zala also on that similar pit strategy as Reese Schaefer. Not as far back, about 4 seconds back behind Kazi. But we'll have to see how long Kazi can hold on to his spot before these drivers who pitted later are able to get around him. Side by side here for 4th place, Jacob Zola, Rob Hamp, leaning on each other there in 1 and 2. Rob Hamp, I'd say, has the little bit more of an advantage here in turn 4. He's able to hold on to it, and not quite. 25 car is going to have to run and be able to clear the 99 car coming after turn 4. Let's go ahead and ride on board here with the 25 Jacob Zala here. Trying to hunt down the 8 car of Derek Garrison in front of him. See him work for those hands in 1 and 2 here. A little smoother, a little less difficult. Then when we head down into 3 and 4, we'll stay on board and watch the difference here. Gotta get a little bit further down. Little bump here. The 8 car hitting those bumps in front of him. You can see how much that moves that car around. Looks like the 25 is going to let the 17 car of Reese Schaefer by. So, a little bit more respect to those playoff drivers. Don't really want to get in their way. Don't want to upset the race or them as a driver. Appreciate from the 17 trying to make up some lost ground on the 2 in front of him. And I don't want to forget to mention this, but we have seen these 2 drivers, the 8 of Derek Garrison and the 17 of Reese Schaefer. These 2 have not played nice in a few races. We've seen a few actions from some of these drivers, and other drivers not too happy with the other one, so I'm not sure if that still looms in the back of Reese Schaefer's mind. But when you're in a position like this, where you're in the playoffs, you just wonder if that maybe might come back and bite Derek Garrison. Decent run there on that front straightaway. Reese Schaefer running a little bit higher line, trying to get a little bit more clean air to that front end. Now peeking to the inside, will he have a big enough run to make something happen in 3 and 4? Sending it in a little bit deeper, trying to wash up the front. Not enough, I don't think. Ooh, closes the door right there, and now Reese Schaefer's going to go to 3rd place and try and work on Joseph Kazi, who's directly in front of them. But while this is happening, Jordan Tross up in 1st place. He is 8 seconds in front of the main pack here. And just how quick Reese was able to get back to that 3 car. Now going to try and apply the same move that he put on that 8 car just a few laps ago. Try and do the same here on the 3 car. Not sure if he's close enough to make a pass. Pretty decent run though. See if he maybe peeks to the inside. No, it looks like he's going to stay in line for the time being. Now Reese Schaefer sending it in low, very close, if not maybe a little bit of contact right there going into 3 and 4. These 4 drivers battling for this 2nd and what will be 4th position. Ooh, Sala right there behind him, getting in a little bit deep, a little bit of contact with that 8 machine of Derek Garrison. Congrats to Jordan Tross there on that stage win again. Sorry, I just had some overlay issues. Got it back up and running again though. Bree Schaefer taking back the race lead, but Jacob Zala right behind him, trying to get this race lead back from Schaefer. And just over halfway with this race, these drivers will need to pit at least one more time. And these drivers that maybe pit a little bit sooner will be trying to make it to, I'd say probably around lap 100 would be my guesstimate. Probably lap 90, lap 100. We'll take a look at that again. Last pit lap would be, some of these are not right, so sorry, I apologize for that, but some of these drivers will be needing to pit sooner than others, as Zala's applying a lot of pressure to this back bumper of the 17 car. Go back and take a look at Jordan Tross back here. He's a lap down, pretty far behind the field, but he was able to make that field last a lap to the end of lap 70, able to stretch it really far, got that stage win. Those are going to be some extra points to his name and will definitely help him out. Now he just has to figure out what the rest of this strategy is, see if he can maybe possibly make it to the end again. He'll have a little bit more fuel if he saves the same amount. It's just going to be really difficult to do, though, because these other drivers are going pretty much full pace, knowing that they still have to pit at least one more time. So maybe not able to make it as far as he did last time. We'll have to see. We'll keep watching him and see what he runs for lap times. We did see it right there. It was very close, just right under a second at the line. And actually, it sounds like he just shut it off. So possibly trying to cruise to the end here again. Not sure if he'll have enough. We'll have to wait and see what it plays out to be. Potentially maybe even get some caution or two. We've seen it happen late in these races where about 20 laps to go, we get a caution, and then we set ourselves up for an overtime attempt because we do get a caution again with about 5 laps to go. So that might be something on some of these drivers' minds. These two drivers have pulled away from the field by quite a decent amount, over 2 seconds now. A little bit of that has to do with how early the 3 and the 8 car pitted. Pitted quite a bit earlier than the 2 in front here. And then we have Rob Hamp back, 13 seconds back. We saw him kind of there with the top 4 that pulled away earlier, or top 3, excuse me, and then Kazi came into the play right after, and Rob Hamp was trying to keep pace with him, just was not able to maintain that speed and has now fallen back 13 seconds. Still, though, holding a top 5 position by just over 2.5 seconds over Jason Miz here. Bryce Shoemaker 18 seconds back. Trying to make something happen here with his night. Holding 7th position, maybe trying to catch up to that 51 car in 6th position. And we have Nick Wood here in between these two cars. That's a 37 of Aaron Kay in front of him, currently 1 lap down. Then that's a 63 of Max Cost right behind him in 9th position. '63 a little bit quicker. Been able to close up on the back end of this 6 car. Running a little bit lower right there. Was able to hit that yellow line pretty decent in 3 and 4. Nick Wood a little bit higher, trying to break that draft on the front straightaway. Still trying to make something happen as the 63 car hasn't been able to make it happen in 1 and 2. The 6 car has been a little bit quicker in 1 and 2, and I think the 63 is a little bit quicker in 3 and 4. They've kind of flip-flopped lines at each end of the track. 63 runs a little bit higher in 1 and 2, and then runs a little bit lower in 3 and 4, where the 6 runs lower in 1 and 2 and higher in 3 and 4. They're able to get a good run here down this backstretch. He's going to send it in deep, and he should be able to clear the 6 car. He's going to slide up in front of him, and he'll be cleared by a decent amount here. That's the 37 of Aaron Kay that you saw on the screen right there. He's going to make his way down pit road for another green flag pit stop. It has not been the night for this 37 car so far. Still have plenty of time to make that turnaround. Carrying 4 top 10s in the last 5 races is Aaron Kay, able to nudge his way through to the round of 8. And no, he's wanting to make it to the round of 4. He's said he was putting in a little bit more effort into practicing, trying to understand this car and the tracks just a little bit better to try and give himself a better shot at finishing in the top 5. And tonight has just not gone his way. Made that pit stop right there, and now he's fallen to 3 laps behind. Currently the last one on the racetrack here in 14th position. Jacob Zala still holding strong here in 2nd place, able to keep momentum going with this 17 car, who have now pulled away almost to about 4 seconds over 3rd place driver Joseph Kazi. Ray Schaefer doing what he needs to do. Last year's champion, having a pretty similar season so far, winning a lot of top 5s, a lot of top 10s in the mixture. Again, we'll take a look at those stats again here. He's looking to defend his title and show the field that he can do it again. Eric Garrison now hitting pit road here as well. So some of these drivers that we saw pit early on at about lap 40 now having to make their way down pit road as well. Bryce Shoemaker in the 54 making his way down pit road. These drivers should all be taking 4 tires and a full tank of fuel again. I would be very surprised if we saw any driver take 2 tires just because of how much further we have yet to go. Maybe a little scary spot right there for the 54. 54 was coming in while the 5 car was exiting. Good heads up by both those drivers not to merge out on the pit road too early. Now the 54 is going to be out and away. Now we have the 51, of Jason Miz on pit road. Jordan Tross here, right behind the leaders. I'm not sure if he's clutching in still. We'll take a look here. Going into turns number 1 and 2, see if maybe he's clutching it in, still trying to save, or maybe if he's trying to push a little bit harder and maybe take less fuel, maybe 2 tires. I think he's really the only driver in position to make strategy call right now. He's shutting off that car. You heard him clutch it going into 1 and 2 right behind these 2 drivers in front of him. Jacob Zala and Ray Schaefer trying to get his lap back, but also trying to save fuel. Very tricky position to be in if you're Jordan Cross. Hot throttle, not jumping to it, trying to save as much as he can. Now working on Ray Schaefer to get his lap back again, clutching into turns 1 and 2, letting it go as long as he can. The 54 now on those corrected tires, going to his inside. So no, not 9 car is going to have his lap back. It's just, will he have enough fuel to make it to the end, and will he have enough if those guys behind him are able to catch back up to him once they do pit? Will he have enough to hold them off? That's a trick question that we're going to have to figure out here. I'm hoping that it works for Jordan Cross. He has not had a win yet in this league. We've talked to him. He said he's really looking to try and get a win here. He's been close a few times. We've seen him do a little bit better at some of these shorter tracks. Not necessarily the 1.5 miles. He's shown speed up 1.5 miles, just hasn't had the finishes, and could tonight be his night. That would be a big upset into these playoffs. That would lock him in to the final 4. And then you'd have drivers like probably Reese Schaefer and Derek Garrison, who maybe don't have that big of a lead, as opposed to Kazi, maybe more in a position of needing to win than they have been in recently, where they've been able to kind of relax a little bit more. These top two, Reese Schaefer and Jacob Zala, now have a little bit more of a distance between those two drivers. Schaefer pulling away a little bit more over the 25 car Jacob Zala. I'm sorry for the technical issues here and there. I don't know why stuff keeps crashing on my stuff tonight. The first, second place gap now over a second. Jacob Zala is going to need to figure out some speed here if he wants to contend for Reese Schaefer in these closing laps. I don't think my mic caught it there, but we were talking about Eric Garrison and how this is his home track and how he would love to come out here and get a win here at his home track and facing maybe a little bit more pressure than some of these other drivers that aren't necessarily racing for friends and family out here tonight. I know he's probably got a good gathering of people out there looking to try and make it happen, so plenty of time, not out of the race quite yet. Now we only have 3 cars in the lead lap here, and still continuing to be one of those cars is Doran Cross here. Just continuing to save field, trying to stretch it to the end. He's right in front of the leaders of Reese Schaefer and Jake Zala. Those two we highly expect will have to pit here within the next 10 to 15 laps. Joseph Kazi made his green flag scheduled pit stop, so he'll be good until the end. And we saw earlier at the end of that stage when some of those drivers pitted, we saw how big of a tire difference those were, able to close up on Jordan Tross pretty quickly. Reese Schaefer able to close up on Kazi before that happened as well, pretty quick. So tires mean a whole lot here, and you do not want to get too far behind as Reese Schaefer is now making his way down pit road. A little bit of tire lockup right there. Again, it won't really matter as much as long as he didn't speed there at the line. If you speed, your night is pretty much over at this point in the race. You can change those tires, you just can't change that black flag that you would get if you did get one for speeding. The reshaper now making his scheduled pit stop. 4 tires and fuel. Now just need Jacob Zala here in the 25 car to make his way down pit road, but he's going to stay out a few extra laps and lead some of these laps, continuing to put on a decent showing tonight. He's led a handful of laps tonight. Now Jacob Zala going to make his way down pit road. A little bit of lockup in the really heavy slide right there. That could have been potentially bad if he didn't get it slowed down or he hit those brakes too hard. That thing could have shot around, but he did a pretty decent job there at getting onto pit road. See if he's able to make up any ground there on Reese Schaefer and come out in front of him. He's got that pit stall number 2. So he'll get 4 tires in, then he'll be off and away. As we go back up to the lead now, Jordan Tross here, only 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds over Joseph Kazi in second place. And if he's able to make it, it's going to be very difficult to pull off a win here. These guys behind him are on super fresh tires and are going to make up this ground quickly on him. I don't think he'd be able to hold off those guys when they catch him. I think all that time that he did saving earlier on has just kind of caught up to him. It's kind of slowed him down to a point where he can't really have a decent gap and not really have a lot of time to rest himself in that fuel tank, so he's going to need to push a little bit more. And if you're Reese Schaefer, you know that that driver in front of you is not saving. You know that you're good to the end. You know that you do not have to make another scheduled green flag pit stop. So you're going to be pushing as hard as you can here these next couple of laps. That third place car of Joseph Kazi directly behind him already made his green flag pit stop, so he's going to have a little bit worn out tires on that machine. You see him pull away over Kazi by far since he's caught him about a lap and a half ago. The only driver really in position to challenge Schaefer would be Jacob Zala. He's at the start finish line now. Lost a little bit of time there under the pit stop. Currently 7 seconds back to the leader of Jordan Tross. He's going to need to push but also try and save some tire. And as that is being said, Reese Schaefer is going to go to the high side and go around Jordan Tross here. And he's going to take a point back away. And I don't know what you do if you're in this 9 cars position of Jordan Tross. I think you need to just kind of accept that you can't win this race on fuel anymore. You have to push. And you can't go another lap down. You can't lose. You can't lose that fuel that you have, so you don't really want to push. So he's in a really difficult position right here, right now. We'll see what he's able to do here in these next about 30, just under 30 laps. So Tokazi now catching that 9 car. He's going to go to the inside on this front straightaway. Now side by side entering turn 1, Joseph Kazi going to make it pretty easy on himself. He's going to be able to clear Jordan Tross pretty quick as well. Rob Camp on pit road. Eric Garrison, I believe, has taken it behind the wall there in that 5 machine in 14th position. Reese Schaefer has played his strategy right so far. He's been able to capitalize off some of these other guys who have pitted earlier than him or who have been trying to stretch it to the very end. Sitting at a pretty decent lead over the rest of the field. If you're Reese Schaefer, you've had probably one of the best days that you've had in a while. Able to play the strategy pretty much 100% correct into what this race needs. You don't have any pressure behind you. The only thing you're facing is a caution. 23 laps to go, coming to 22 laps to go. The field is mostly spread out for the most part. You have a few guys that are within about a second to 2 seconds, but I don't think it's in any position that these guys would be racing hard. It would cause any wrecks that would bring out a caution, but you never know. And I know if you're a 17 fan out there, you just want this thing to go green. You want to be able to cruise home to the end of this race and lock yourself into the final 4. Reese Schaefer now working on the first lap car that he'll have in front of him. That was the 6 car, Nick Wood. Nick Wood, I think, got a little bit of the wall right there. Then next up is the 54, Bryce Shoemaker. And if he's able to get around Bryce Shoemaker, that'll put 6 cars in the lead lap. Currently have 7 cars. Shoemaker holding that last position. Now Zala up to 2nd place, 5 seconds back behind Schaefer. 20 laps to try and catch up. Plenty of time. You just have to, if you're the 25 car, you need to focus. You're probably talking to your team. Probably trying to see what the 17 car of Reese Schaefer is doing differently. Seeing where he's running, seeing what lap cars he has in front of him. Didn't get too much of a fight there from Joseph Kazi. It's gonna be a pretty hard task to do to close up on Reese Schaefer. You do have a little bit fresher tires if you're Zala. It's just gonna be pretty much driver versus driver, and like we talked about earlier, Jacob Zala a little bit less experienced than that driver of Reese Schaefer in this league. Reese looking to go back-to-back for championships. Zala not in the playoffs, but looking for his first win. A little bit quicker last lap, not by much. He's going to need a little bit more out of that race car if he wants to catch Schaefer. Schaefer able to get around Bryce Shoemaker there. So now we have 6 cars on the lead lap here. Jason Miz in that 6th position, holding that last place on the lead lap. Jacob Zala now down to 4.5 seconds behind. These laps, though, are ticking down. We'll be coming to 15 laps to go. At this rate, it's not going to be enough, I don't think. Still has a shot. He just needs to be able to put some more decent laps together. Needs to find a little bit more of that race car. Pretty slower lap right there out of the 25 car. Stay for a little bit quicker that last lap. Coming around to 13 laps to go. Jacob Zala doing his absolute best in second place here to catch Reese Schaefer. He's got one more slow car in front of him. That's a 54 Bryce Shoemaker. Then he'll have some clean track ahead of him. Jordan Tross right now still holding on to his fuel strategy pretty decent. 14 seconds behind the leader. Continuing to do what he needs to do. It's a slow car, Justin Day in front of him. Will Jordan have enough, though, to make it to the end? That is the question. And now, gap now 4 seconds from Zala to Schaefer. Coming to 11 laps to go. This charge by Zala has kind of not been enough to make any improvements these last couple of laps. Doing his absolute best still. Is just, you're going up against one of the best in this league. And you can see why he's one of the best. Tuning to absolutely put on a show and a clinic here tonight, pulling away from the rest of the field. He has a pretty much a clear track ahead of him. Won't really have to deal with any slow cars. 10 laps to go here. If you're Reese Schaefer, this is pretty much just a statement to the rest of the field saying, I am here for the championship. I'm here to defend it again. You're out for a week. You had some surgery. You came back. We're behind the field. We're almost sitting directly above the cut line. In the round of 12, made those points back up. You're able to win at Darlington Raceway, our last track. And now looking to win the first race of the round of 8. the field spread out, coming to 6 laps to go. Reese Schaefer doing an outstanding job here tonight. All he needs is just a few more good laps. No issues from the field. If you're Reese Schaefer, that's what you're hoping for. Zala not able to make up any ground these past 10 laps, holding about 4 seconds behind the race leader. I know this is going to probably hurt for him. You were so close so many times and so close yet again. Just lost that time on those green flag pit stops and fell back and were not able to make up anything on the leader. Still, very decent race from the 25 car. He's proven that he's here to contend, and if he's able to round this race out in second place, that'll just add to his momentum. That'll add to what he's able to do and show guys that maybe heading into next year, if he decides to go into this full time, that he is a championship favorite. And I think he still has he has some learning to do, but I think he's pretty much right at that point where we could see him maybe at Bristol have a decent shot at the win. And I would say Talladega next week, but you never know at a track like that. But back up front, 3 laps to go. Reese Schaefer continuing to check these laps off one by one. He'll make his way through 3 and 4, and then he'll get 2 laps to go. An outstanding performance. I cannot express it enough. I know a lot of the field is asking Reese to slow down because of the amount of wins that he's had these past couple of weeks. The amount of poles, just consistently being up front. No real issues out of the driver himself. Kind of been mistake-free. And this being a year in which you want to defend the title at, that's what you need. And through 3 and 4, Reese Schaefer is going to come around and take the white flag this time by. So 1 lap to go for Reese Schaefer. All he needs to do is just bring it back around and he will get his ticket punched into the round of 4. After 3 and 4, the final time off of turn number 4, Reese Schaefer is going to win at Legacy Kentucky Speedway, and he's going to punch his way into the final 4. Jacob Zala here in second place. Joseph Kazi coming around into the line in third place. And will Jordan Tross have enough? He's through 4 at the start-finish line. He'll be able to make it all the way to the line after that fuel run, and he's going to be able to finish in 5th position. A great run and fuel strategy play by Jordan Tross right there. And a decent finish for him as well. That's a top 5, and that's what he needed. And Reese Schaefer going to burn it down here. A well-deserved win by this driver. And we'll be able to speak to these drivers in just a moment. And there you have it, drivers. That is your race winner, Reese Schaefer. Reese Schaefer, congrats on the win. Let me make sure the audio is selected here real quick before I ask you any questions. I had that happen last week or 2 weeks ago, and I realized that was not okay. Do you mind just giving me a mic check real quick?
Yes, sir. You got
All
me?
right, we got you. Congrats,
Perfect.
Reese. You punched your way in to the Final Four. An outstanding performance there. We saw a little bit of strategy happen there, but how much does this race mean now that you're able to potentially relax and not be so stressed over Talladega and Bristol, these next 2 races that we have coming up?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, Oscar. Like you said, Talladega is the definition of a wild card. The same reason you love it, the same reason you hate it. And Bristol, um, really fun track, but with that track, it's so fast, and all it takes is one car stop in the high lane, and you look up and you hit them. So it's yeah, super huge to get the win here. Legacy Kentucky, one of the tracks. That's kind of an interesting one. But I would say probably this car track combo is by far the best out of all the Kentuckys. Like if you race the trucks, Xfinity, even the Cup car here, um, it's not that great. It's just really tight, really hard to pass. But this car, if the draft was maybe just a slightly little bit worse, probably would have been perfect. But the draft was really strong tonight, as you saw a lot of guys even on older tires, and that second run Jacob held with me the whole time, even though I had 2 low pressure tires, just because the draft's so strong. And it was great battle between me and him, and honestly all 4 of us, me, Kazi, Jacob, and Derek. That was we had a great run there the first stint, and I was kind of on the fence of what I wanted to do. Like it was 64 laps on fuel. I was like, well, maybe I try 70, but when Kazi pitted, I think I don't know, maybe it was around 35, 40 or something, and I saw that he was only 1 lap down behind me, not 2. I was like, okay, yeah, there's no way the halfway thing is gonna work, because he's just not too far behind. The pit road here is 50 miles an hour. If it was like 35 or something similar to Rockingham, where it's really, really slow, um, maybe you had a better chance at making it work. But yeah, it was just way too tough. So we yeah, I scrapped the pit idea halfway through the first stint. Then second stint, I knew I had to get clean air if I was gonna try to win and break away from the pack, and so that's what I got. And then Jacob held with me for a while, but then I got some lap traffic in front of me, and the draft really pulled me along. I got out front, and I don't know if you watched my last pit stop, but I absolutely sent it in there. It was absolutely perfect. I was 90 degrees to the right because the car was sideways coming in, and I secured everything great and came out 7 seconds ahead, and I kind of knew that if I just kept it good pace, I could probably hold him off, and yeah, we won by 4.5, so it was a great win.
That it was, and you did say you sent it in really deep, and I think we did see that. I think we saw Jacob is all behind you try and send it in is a little bit deeper as well. You clearly came out on top and were able to pull away after that cycle by a pretty decent amount and have a big gap and lead, and didn't really face any pressure there. But those strategies, I will say, I do agree with you there. This is probably, I mean, I like this version more than the newer version. That's me personally, but
Mm-hmm.
that draft is definitely super strong, and I know from watching the strategies play out, it definitely looked like unless you had that upper edge advantage, that you were pretty much gonna have somebody directly behind you. But it looks like you're able to play it out pretty dang good, I'd say, and um, hopefully this means that you can potentially maybe send it at Talladega a little bit harder next week, and maybe see some craziness out of you, which you're kind of more opposite of that, a little bit more relaxed. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, Talladega, like I said, I could go, I've raced Talladega and Daytona so many times, and I could tell you just the craziest stories. I remember I did a league race a couple years ago, maybe I think it was 2 years ago. I was 14th on the last lap. I won the race because of a big wreck at the finish line. I've seen guys like fuel strategy. I remember last year there was a guy that he sat behind. He was like 30th, and he just sat behind 3 lap cars the entire race, clutching, and everybody had to pit because it was like 5 laps you couldn't make it. But he clutched behind those lap cars the entire race. And when it came out, cycled out, he won by 30 seconds because everybody had a pit, and he just sat behind those lap cars the whole race and won the race. I've seen about everything under the moon. I mean, Talladega, there's obviously some skill and, drafting and getting a good position for the end of the race, but there's also just so much luck that goes into it. Guys, you can get taken out early from someone making a silly mistake, or you could blow up on accident, not realizing how hot you are. It's just such a fun race, and it's always a crown jewel, and there's a reason everybody shows up for those. So yeah, I can't wait, and I'm super excited.
I am too, and we will not mention that driver's name because that driver is somehow very lucky, and we both know the color, yellow. But hopefully we do not summon him.
Yes, yes, yes.
But before I let you go, is there anything else I'd love, or that I'd love? Is there anything else that that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank all the teammates, Kazi, Jacob Aaron, Miz was racing tonight. Good to see him. Jordan Berry, sadly he's opted out of the playoffs, but everything's going on. But hopefully we'll see him pretty soon. He's a great guy. He's super awesome. Want to thank Mid-Michigan Milk Producers Association. They're always like representing them, and they always like supporting me. I'd like to thank my dad, my girlfriend Emily, my grandpa. They always like to tune in whenever they can, watch the races, and really like to thank you, Oscar. I know we don't have the greatest field sizes right now, but I really like the production stuff you're doing, and I know personally, and I don't know how much truck racing you've ever done, but those leagues always just pack out. It's actually insane. It's almost hard nowadays to get into a truck series. That's how many people like to race it. So should be a lot more numbers next year, and should be a lot of fun. So I can't wait.
I can't wait as well. I think we got a lot of fun stuff on the future horizon here, and thank you again. Those kind words for the production mean a lot, as I've been trying to advance everything each and every week. So hopefully we can be talking to you again next week. And until then, thanks for talking with us, and I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Yep, you too, Oscar. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Yep. All right, that was our race winner, Reese Schaefer. We'll go ahead and get Joseph Kazi here. He's standing by with us. Joseph Kazi able to round out here in third place. Pretty decent night. Had some offset strategy compared to some of the rest of these guys in front of you. Just what was the key difference in your race that you needed to be a little bit closer to Schaefer?
Man, I should have not pitted as soon as I did. I wanted to go longer, and I didn't do it because I got scared with, I had the right front tire warning because I wore out my right front a little bit more than probably what they did. But I should have stuck with it and waited for one of them to make a move, and I didn't. And so then that put me down, and then I was getting close to the end, and I didn't know how much further they were going to go. And I got to the warning again on the second stop, and I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and pit again. And just every time I pitted too early. But, I mean, the second time I was already committed to having to do that because I only think I had like 9 or 8 laps left in fuel. So that got me behind mostly, and I would say that'd be about it. Man, they were just, both Reese and Jacob were lights out fast. I tried to hang back in the first run to, come back at the end, which it worked, but I don't know. I was just, like I said, I was lost here.
Well, even though you may have been lost, you still finished in third place, and I know sometimes you say that and you still finish around the same position, if not win the race. So I'm going to start believing that maybe you're just saying that just to say that, because you still finish pretty good no matter what happens. But going on and talking about finishing, we have two very unique tracks. Talladega next week, Bristol the following week. Those are, I mean, I know Bristol is Bristol and Talladega is Talladega. You can't really put two and two together.
Yep.
But out of those two tracks, is there a better track for you that you think you could lock yourself into the round of 4 with, or is it kind of just gain points and
I
maybe
mean,
put yourself in good positions?
basically, we're just gonna have to see. I mean, Talladega is basically, lucky hand of the draw. Whoever comes out lucky wins. We'll see. You just gotta not make mistakes. If we get green flag racing as well, you know, me and Reese have been known that we could probably separate ourselves with, just a green flag stop if that happens. So we'll see what happens. Detriment to me and Reese. I know Jacob will work with us. If Aaron can keep up, Aaron's still working on his, trying to get faster, and Miz should be with us the whole time next weekend. So that's our whole little group, and if Jordan Berry comes with us, he'll be with us as well. So that's our big clique all together, basically. So we'll see what happens, and for Bristol, Bristol's just gonna tire manage basically, and that's gonna be it. If we get green flag runs there, that's just how much you don't push yourself in the beginning, be fast at the end.
Yeah, and that is something that you're going to have to watch out for during that race. You don't want to push too hard. You want to be able to have stuff towards the end of the race. Before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to add or say?
Man, hey, shout out to the league, shout out to the everybody that showed up. Hey, we got 14 people. That was pretty good this week. Maybe we'll get more maybe for Talladega. Who knows? Shout out to the broadcast. Shout out to everybody who puts all this in motion. Shout out to Reese. Excellent job. He was so fast there at the end. Jacob was so mad. He did. I told Jake, I was like, man, you waited too long. You let him get away. He had a chance. But hey, shout out to all those guys. Shout out to everybody who showed up. Shout out to Aaron. He got the fastest lap. He kept going and put it in tires. Hey, he's trying to get them bonus points, which I don't blame him.
Exactly. That's what you need to do sometimes, and we haven't looked at that yet, but good to know. And honestly, I think if you're Aaron K, that could pay off huge, especially with the night that he had, not necessarily having the best night. But like we saw last year with the playoff, that point can be the difference between transferring into the next round and not making it. And I know maybe not so much of an issue for you, but still look forward to seeing you work through these next few races, and hopefully you don't get any craziness happen to you for Talladega.
Yeah, we'll see. It's all about just trying to keep the card clean and see if we can just if we could get a gap. Especially, I know me and Reese, we're connected as one when we're racing together on super speedways. It's like he knows what I want to do, and he knows what I know what he wants to do, basically. And it's we just are basically one on a super speedway together.
And that's not good for the rest of the field. So, alrighty, Kazi. I'll let you go. Congrats on the third place finish, and hopefully talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, we'll see.
Alrighty. That was Joseph Kazi. That was a heck of a run by him to stay within pretty decent gap from those drivers that were off strategy from him. But now let's go ahead and get a word with our second place driver, Jacob Zala. Jacob Zala coming off of a third place finish at Rockingham. Oh wait, was it second place?
Oh no, third at Rockingham. Sorry.
Yeah, third at Rockingham, and then fifth at Richmond. Another top 5 in the books here for you. Still knocking on the door of that first win. We spoke to Reese, and he said that the difference was probably just those, I'd say those 1 lap difference between you two pitting, and then as well as that last pit stop where he kind of beat you there on entry. And as a driver, you're a little bit, I'd say, younger and maybe not so experienced in this type of league. Just what do you do when you're in that position, knowing that you might need something here and there, but that you have a driver like Reese Schaefer as a mentor as well?
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. I mean, Reese and I are pretty much the same age, so he's done it a lot longer. Well, he hasn't really done it a lot longer. Him and I have kind of came into the sim at the same time. It's definitely frustrating. I felt like we had the car to win tonight, and I just kind of threw it all away. But I know I'm gonna get back to it at Talladega and Bristol, and these guys are gonna keep helping me learn a lot more each time we come out here.
Yeah, and that's something that you, as a driver, I think would love to hear. Not just you specifically, but any other driver out there is getting that help from a driver like Reese or Kazi. And going into Talladega, we've talked to both your teammates, and it sounds like there's already plans being arranged to work together as a team and get one of you guys into victory lane. I know it's a little bit harder at those type of tracks to have everything go to plan, but with you not being in a playoff position, are you going to be a little bit more aggressive, or are you going to try and help your teammates?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go out there and race our race. We're gonna try and get a win. Maybe try and steal one from one of these playoff guys. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Dega's more of a 50-50 shot. There's no really skill involved at Talladega. So if it were the one that I want, or if it were the one that I did win, I would be okay with it. Not a track that I would necessarily want to have my first win at. I'd rather have it at a track that is more skilled. But we're gonna work with our guys, and then last lap, anything goes.
I agree with you on that, and I'm hoping that we can see you around until the end of the race there next week. I think definitely your momentum and not having much to lose is going to give you more of a chance than some of these other guys at the chance of a win. Um, Before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my teammates, Reese, Kazi, Jordan, Barry. He hasn't been here tonight, but shout out to him. Aaron K. Aaron K was actually doing pretty well, and unfortunately he got a speeding penalty on pit road and kind of threw that race away. But he's been doing really good and trying to get better every week. Shout out to him. I'd like to thank Bird Dog Racing, Chicago Heights Star Tool and Die, Miller Lite, all those guys that give us the sponsorship on the car, and you for the broadcast, and Bryce for running the league.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that compliment, and hopefully we can see you back in the interview room next week. If not, for sure, Bristol. It's been fun watching you continue on this hot streak so far.
Yes, sir. We'll try to come back.
Alrighty. That was Jacob Zala there, finishing in second place. Big shout out to him. Week in, week out, he's been able to give these playoff drivers a run for their money. Still have yet to see him put the parts together for a win, but it's just a matter of time. And you've kind of heard from that he was a little bit disappointed in himself, not able to make all of his strategy go to plan tonight. Said he thought that one kind of got away from him and that he had a car that was capable of winning. Still was able to finish second place. I do think, though, like I said, we will see him in victory lane very shortly. Let's go ahead and take a look at these race results here before we get too far away. Again, Reese Schaefer rounding out with the win. Jacob Zala there in second place. Joseph Kazi, third place. Derek Garrison, fourth place. Jordan Tross, fifth place. Able to make it around those last half of that race there on that tank of fuel. Pretty impressive job by him. Jason Miz there in 6th place. Last car in the lead lap, that is as well. Bryce Shoemaker, the first car a lap down. Max Cost, Nick Wood, Justin Day. Then going on to our 11th. Jim Foskett, Aaron Kay, Rob Hamp, and Eric Garrison, who had early mechanical issues, rounds out your field. And we mentioned it in the interview there. The fastest lap went to Aaron Kay, 31.717 seconds, 165 miles an hour, almost 166. Pretty fast lap out of him. We heard that after he had that misfortune on pit road, he just went around and tried to hit that fast lap, and that he did, so he'll get those extra points or extra point, I should say, for that. And maybe not the result that he wanted, but at least he didn't come out with nothing. And then if we look ahead here, as my mouse just died for a second, we'll go ahead and take a look at our schedule. And next week, Talladega Super showing that Bristol Motor Speedway for 250 laps. That'll be a really demanding track for some of these drivers. Then we move on to the championship 4 rounds of 3 races that include Michigan International Speedway, North Wilkesboro, and then rounding out the season will be for 200 laps, and that's where we will decide and crown a champion. And for a lot of these drivers, you are looking at those 2 that have led the way so far, of Reese Schaefer and Joseph Kazi. And hopefully looking to put a stop to that. And now, I don't think I have anything more to add to that. I think we pretty much covered everything that we need to. Again, we had a few technical difficulties there where the audio wasn't coming through and where the overlay wasn't coming through either. So I apologize for that. I do think we were able to get some other problems resolved. Besides that, in general, I think quality is a little bit better, and I'm excited to see what these round of 8 drivers are willing and able to do for the next couple of races. I think this is probably going to be a pretty tough round for a lot of these drivers. Some that maybe are a little bit further back and need to go all out at Talladega. Others that maybe want to play it safe and just kind of rely on Bristol to getting through. But we will have to wait and see for that to happen. With that, though, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully we can see you guys again next week. And have a good rest of your evening, night, day, afternoon, wherever you're watching. And we will see you guys later.